They said it started when I moved to Windlow, but I know it began before that, when the trees began to notice me, watching from the shadows, waiting silently. After the divorce, I needed distance from everything familiar, from the noise and ghosts of my past. Windlow was small, nestled deep between towering pine forests, quiet, empty. I thought it would clear my head. Instead, it filled it with whispers and questions I couldn't shake. The house I rented stood on the edge of town, where the road gave way to wilderness and old trees. I chose it for the silence, for the isolation. But silence can turn on you, echoing your fears back at you. The first time I saw him, it was dusk. I was on the back porch, staring at the darkening forest, when I noticed a figure standing between the pines, still watching. I blinked, thinking it was a hiker, a hunter, someone out for a walk. But he didn't move a muscle, not even when the wind blew. I called out. Nothing, just wind whispering through the needles and the creaking of the old porch beneath me. I went inside, locked the door, and forced a laugh. Told myself I was imagining things, that stress was playing tricks. But he kept coming back. Every other evening, same time, same place, unmoving, the shape of a man swallowed by darkness. Always watching, not closer, not farther, always there, like a statue planted in the woods to unnerve me. I tried to rationalize it. A prank, maybe, but who would bother? I knew no one. I barely left the house, spoke to no one. One night, I took a flashlight and walked into the trees, calling out that I could see him, that I wasn't afraid. But by the time I reached the spot, there was only forest, no tracks, no sound, just the smell of pine and something faintly metallic in the air, like rust. That night, I didn't sleep. The feeling of being watched clung to me like damp clothes, impossible to shake off. I started spending my days in town. More people, less silence. I asked around about strangers in the woods. Most smiled politely and changed the subject like they'd heard it before. Except one old man in the diner who said, "Stay out of the trees after dusk. That's when he walks." His voice was low, serious. When I asked who he meant, he left his coffee untouched and walked out without another word. I should have left too, packed my things, driven until the forest disappeared in the rearview mirror. But I stayed, told myself I was imagining things, that it was just loneliness, grief, isolation. I stopped looking out the window at night. Then one morning, I found a perfect circle of pine needles on my porch. Deliberate, geometric, a message. I swept it away, pretended it didn't happen, but the circle returned. Every morning, same place, same shape, unchanged. I bought a camera and pointed it at the porch. That night, I stayed awake, eyes glued to the screen. At 3:08 a.m., static took over for 5 seconds. When the feed returned, the circle was there again, but no one had come. I called the sheriff. He looked around, shrugged, said it was probably kids, promised more patrols. He didn't believe me, not really. Then it got worse. Pine needles started showing up inside. In my bed, my shoes, my sink, always fresh, always green. Never brown or broken. Doors I'd locked were open in the morning. Lights I'd turned off were on. Things were shifting, subtle but undeniable. I began to question my sanity. Was I sleepwalking? Was I losing it? Could grief do this to a person? Then I saw him again. Not in the woods, in my yard. Closer now, silent, unmoving, closer than ever before. I ran outside with a bat. He vanished before I reached the trees. No tracks, no sound, just that pressure in the air. again, like something heavy standing behind me. That night, I sat in the living room with all the lights on, clutching the bat like it could protect me. At 4:12 a.m., the lights died, not just mine. The entire street went dark, silent, like a held breath. I heard wind, but the trees stood still. Then, footsteps on the porch, slow, measured, unhurried, certain. The doorknob turned just a little, just enough to let me know he could enter if he wanted to. 5 minutes later, the power returned. The porch was empty, but the circle had moved inside, at the foot of the stairs, mocking me. I left the next morning, took nothing, didn't lock the door, just drove until Windlow was far behind me. 2 weeks later, the sheriff called, said they checked the house, no forced entry, but they found something strange on the porch. A 6-foot circle of pine needles, a single shoe in the center, a message, a warning. He asked if it was mine. I told him no, and to stay out of the woods. I said it clearly. He didn't laugh, he just said, "I won't." Like he already knew something wasn't right. Sometimes, late at night, I still smell pine when there shouldn't be any scent at all, just still air. And in my dreams, I see him just beyond the trees, always standing, always watching, never gone. I told the officer everything I could remember, though the order of events sometimes slipped. Sleep hasn't come easy lately, not since the quiet man changed his route, not since he stopped walking past and began coming closer. I moved to Elmridge for work, teaching literature at the local school. It's a sleepy little town, surrounded by open fields, broken barns, and a silence that feels older than the people living in it. Everyone here claims to know everyone else, but no one knows him. My house is modest 2 floors, a long front window facing the road. I used to love reading there at night, the hum of insects outside, the warm lamplight inside. Now I keep the curtains drawn, always. The first time I saw him was 3 months ago. Light rain tapped the glass. I was grading papers late when a figure passed the window. A man in a dark brown coat and a brimmed hat. He walked slowly, like time didn't matter. I thought little of it. Then he passed again. Exactly 20 minutes later, same pace, same stillness, same direction. The next night, he came again, and the next, always at 11:43 p.m. sharp. I checked the clock every time. Rain or clear, warm or cold, he never missed his loop. I thought maybe he was a night worker, a restless soul. Elmridge is small, you can cross it in under an hour. But when I asked around, no one recognized the description. No one had seen him. Mrs. Langdon across the street said he'd walked that path for years. He's quiet, doesn't hurt anyone, she said. Best not to bother him. Her voice carried something between caution and fear. Then he began to tilt his head toward my window as he passed, not slowing, just a tilt, as if acknowledging me. I stopped reading by the window. I pulled the curtain tight and left the lamp on. But I still heard the footsteps, soft, steady, reliable. Sometimes I peeked through the narrowest gap in the curtain. He was always there, same pace, same posture, same hat, always at 11:43. Then one morning, I found a single muddy footprint on the porch. It faced the front door. I didn't tell anyone. What could I say? That a man passed nightly and somehow left a footprint without stepping off the road. Still, I locked everything, doors, windows, even the upstairs bathroom. I bought pepper spray. I asked Tom, the janitor at school, to walk me to my car. Then the pattern broke. It was a Tuesday, had stayed late for meetings. I got home around 10:30, exhausted. I barely noticed the time. Then I heard it. Footsteps, not from the street, but from the side of the house. Deliberate, pacing, calculated. I froze. The steps moved with intent. No wandering, no shuffle. Each step placed with purpose. I grabbed a kitchen knife. My phone had no signal common out here after sunset. I stood near the door, heart thudding, breath shallow. Then silence. Not even the insects, not even the wind, just a vacuum of sound. When I looked outside, there was no one, but I found a ring of footprints around the house, a perfect circle, neat and exact. The next day, I called the sheriff. He came, glanced around, and said there was no law against walking. I showed him the footprints. He said it was probably kids. Coyotes didn't write anything down. I asked more neighbors. Most were quiet now. One woman said he used to walk past my place, but then he changed course. When I asked why, she shrugged. Maybe he liked your window better. I stopped sleeping. He came every night, now but not always, at 11:43, sometimes earlier, sometimes twice. He'd walk past the window, pause, tilt his head, then keep walking. But the pauses grew longer, more intentional. One night, there were 3 taps on the glass, sharp, spaced evenly, then nothing. I spent that night in the hallway, light on, knife in hand. The next morning, I found smooth stones placed along my windowsill, evenly spaced, clean, like part of a ritual. I tried to leave town, visited a cousin hours away, but on the drive, I saw him by the side of the highway, just standing there. When I returned Sunday night, a single muddy footprint waited on the porch inside the house. I changed the locks, installed a camera, but each night at 11:43, the footage cut out, static, every single night. Now, sometimes, I hear whispering. Not words, just breathy murmurs, like a voice behind a thin wall. A week ago, I lost control. I opened the door, ran into the street, screaming, but the street was empty. No lights turned on. Not one neighbor looked out. Now I spend my nights in the basement. No windows, no sound. I don't want to see him anymore, but I hear him, the steps, the pause, the breath. Last night, the footsteps stopped at the basement door. That door is always locked, but this morning it was open. I didn't tell anyone at first. I thought maybe it was the snow, or the wind, or the long, empty nights playing tricks on me. When you live alone in a place like Dorland Hill, up in the mountains where the winters swallow the calendar, your mind starts stretching in strange directions. The silence here has weight. The snow builds up like memory, layer after layer. The wind doesn't just howl, it screams through the chimneys, shakes the windows, moans like it's remembering something it shouldn't. My cabin rests near the edge of the tree line, close enough to hear the pines groan when the storm comes angry. I moved here 2 years ago after inheriting the place from my Aunt Miriam. They said she died peacefully in her sleep. No autopsy, no whispers, just acceptance. The people in Dorland Hill know how to stay quiet, especially when it matters most. I saw the girl for the first time in late January, just after dusk. She was standing at the edge of my yard, where the snow meets the trees, a yellow coat too thin for winter, hood up, still as frost. I stepped out onto the porch, called to her. No movement, no reply, just a girl, small and silent, her face lost in the shadows of the hood. But by the time I made it down the steps, she was gone. No footprints, no broken snow, no sound. The next night, she returned. Same place, same posture. I didn't go out this time, just watched from behind the window. She stood there for nearly an hour, not moving. Then she faded into the dark like smoke. I asked around the village. Yellow coat, young girl, 11, maybe 12. No one knew her. Some changed the subject. One man said, "Keep your curtains shut after sunset. That's how we manage." I started doing just that. But even with the curtains drawn, I felt her, like a static charge just outside the wall, waiting. Then came the dreams, always the same. I wake up, and she's inside the cabin, at the foot of my bed. Hood down, but I can never see her face. Just an endless gray static where her features should be. I always wake, gasping, sweating, heart clutched tight. 3:11 a.m. every time. One night, I wedged a chair against the front door before bed. A weak gesture, but it made me feel better. When I woke, the chair had been moved, the door slightly ajar, and on the floor, melting prints, small, barefoot. I asked the sheriff if any children had gone missing. He shook his head, then said, low and tired, "Some of us see her, not all, but those who do, change." I didn't ask what he meant, didn't want to know. She started coming closer, first at the edge of the yard, then the porch, then the window, just standing, watching, silent. Sometimes she tapped the glass, once, then stillness. I stopped opening the blinds, left lights on, television running, sound machines humming, but nothing drowned the sense of presence. That something waited with patience I could never understand. Then came the whispers, first faint, then clearer, a soft voice riding a current of static. Let me in. I tried to fight back, screamed, cried, covered my ears, but she stayed. The voice lingered. One night, the door opened on its own. I heard the slow creak, felt the cold pour in like water through a crack. I couldn't move, just lay there, frozen, listening. In the morning, the only sign anything had happened was a single yellow thread caught on the doorknob. I packed, drove down the mountain, but halfway to the next town, the snow thickened. My car choked, then died. I had no signal. I walked back. When I returned, my front door was already open. Snow trailed across the floor, leading to my bedroom. And there she was, sitting on the bed, just sitting. I backed away, fell, scrambled to stand. But when I looked again, she was gone. No footprints, no sound, only the shape of her stillness burned into the mattress. That night, I sat in the corner with a flashlight in one hand and a kitchen knife in the other. I didn't sleep. I didn't blink. At 3:11 a.m., she came, not in a dream, not in silence. She stepped from the shadow and said clearly, "You don't belong here." I begged, pleaded, asked what she wanted. She tilted her head. "You took her place, now give it back." And I understood then, the house wasn't mine. It was hers. It had always been hers. Maybe she died here, maybe not. Maybe part of her never left. I burned sage, called a priest from 2 towns over. He came, stayed the night, and left before dawn. Didn't speak, just left his rosary on my pillow. Now I hear her every night, in the walls, in the floors. She breathes behind doors, whispers from closets. She doesn't hide anymore. Last night, I looked in the mirror, and for a moment, just a flash. I was wearing a yellow coat. The line between her and me is fraying. Soon, I think, there will only be one of us left in this cabin.